marks the culmination of a long and difficult process of negotiation between the UK and the EU. There were those who said that reaching a Brexit agreement that worked for both sides was an impossible task. From the start, I rejected that counsel of despair and set about negotiating a deal that worked for the UK and the EU, one that delivered on the result of the referendum and set us on course for a prosperous future, while maintaining a close relationship with our friends and neighbours. Thanks to the hard work of both sets of negotiators, that is what we have today agreed. I want to take a few moments to speak directly to the British people and explain what this deal means. First, control of our borders. Not an emergency brake on free movement or a promise of greater transition controls in the future, but an end to the free movement of people in full once and for all. That is what this deal delivers. It will allow us to put in place an immigration system based not on where people come from, but on the skills and talents they have to offer. That is in our national interest. Second, control of our money. Not a reduction in our membership fee, not a bigger budget rebate, but an end to vast annual payments being sent to the EU. That is what this deal delivers. Instead, we will be able to spend taxpayers' money on our priorities, like the £394 million per week of extra investment we are putting into our NHS. That is in our national interest. Third, control over our laws. Not just the return of some areas of control from Brussels, but an end to the jurisdiction of the European Court of Justice in the UK, with our laws being made in our country by democratically elected politicians, interpreted and enforced by British courts. That is what this deal delivers, and that is in our national interest. In agriculture, it does not just deliver a better deal under the Common Agricultural Policy, it takes us out of the CAP completely, meaning we can design new systems of support for farmers that work for the UK. And in fishing, it does not just deliver a bigger annual quota within the Common Fisheries Policy, it sets us free of the CFP for good and forever. The UK will be an independent coastal state once again, in full sovereign control of our waters, able to decide for ourselves who we allow to fish in them, with that access not tied to any other aspect of our economic partnership. That is in our national interest too. On borders, laws and money, this deal delivers for the British people. But I have been just as determined that, as well as taking back control, this should be a deal that protects the things we value in our relationship with our European friends and sets us on course for a future of opportunity and prosperity. And this deal does that too. So if your family's livelihood depends on a skilled job in our manufacturing sector, you need a deal that keeps goods flowing easily across borders and keeps supply chains intact. This deal does that. We will be outside the single market and the customs union, but have an economic partnership with the EU closer than any other country enjoys. Good for business and in our national interest. If you're one of the over 3 million EU citizens who has come and built your life in the UK, come to be our colleagues, our neighbours and our friends, you need a deal that guarantees your rights. If you're one of the almost 1 million UK nationals living elsewhere in the EU, you need the same. This deal delivers for you all. And because each one of us is made safer by the close security cooperation between the UK and the EU, we all need a deal that keeps that close partnership intact, and this deal does that too. As Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, I have felt very keenly my responsibility to deliver a deal that works for the whole UK and for all of its parts. So what we have agreed protects the constitutional integrity of the United Kingdom. We rejected proposals which would have compromised that integrity and insisted on keeping all parts of our UK in a single customs territory. This deal delivers that. It also honours the solemn commitment we made to the people of Northern Ireland that there should be no hard border between Northern Ireland and Ireland. This deal will safeguard the hard-won progress of the last 20 years and allow the people of that part of our United Kingdom to carry on living their lives as they do today. This is a deal that works for the whole UK family, including our overseas territories and the Crown dependencies. On Gibraltar, we have worked constructively with Spain throughout this process. and I want to thank Fabian Picardo for the statesmanlike role he has played. We have ensured that Gibraltar is covered by the withdrawal agreement and by the implementation period. Let no one be in any doubt. For the future partnership, the UK will be negotiating for the whole UK family, including Gibraltar. I am proud that Gibraltar is British and its constitutional status will not change. The deal we have agreed today unlocks a bright future for the UK. Outside the EU, we will be able to strike new trade deals around the world and open up new markets in the world's fastest growing economies. We will be able to focus our energies on the many other important issues that matter to the British people at home, creating more good jobs and spreading prosperity more widely, taking care of our public services like the NHS and schools, building more homes and tackling the social injustices that prevent too many people fulfilling their potential. In any negotiation, you do not get everything you want. You need to identify what your vital interests are and stick to them, but be prepared to compromise in other areas in order to achieve a result. I think the British people understand that. When they look at this deal, they will see it as a good one for our country and that it is in the national interest for everyone to get behind it. It honours the referendum, protects what we value, and sets us on course for a bright future. Today marks the culmination of our exit negotiations with the EU, but it also marks the start of a crucial national debate in our country over the next few weeks. Before Christmas, MPs will vote on this deal. It will be one of the most significant votes that Parliament has held for many years. On it will depend whether we move forward together into a brighter future or open the door to yet more division and uncertainty. The British people don't want to spend any more time arguing about Brexit. They want a good deal done that fulfills the vote and allows us to come together again as a country. So I will take this deal back to the House of Commons, confident we have achieved the best deal available and full of optimism about the future of our country. In Parliament and beyond it, I will make the case for this deal with all my heart, and I look forward to that campaign. Thank you. Now, questions? Laura?
Much, Prime Minister. BBC News. Throughout this very long process, you have often been reluctant to tell us what's really going on because you said it's a negotiation and understandably you've kept your cards close to your chest. But now the process is over. Can I ask you to be very straight with the public and tell us who, if anyone, you think is pleased about this deal?
Well, I've just set out in my statement that I think this is a good deal for the whole of the United Kingdom. I believe it delivers on the vote that the British people took. It delivers the end of free movement, end of the jurisdiction of the European Court of Justice, end of sending those vast annual sums to the EU every year, and also delivers on those other issues like coming out of the CAP and CFP. And it sets us on course for our future. Yes, there's a next stage of negotiations, obviously, in terms of the that future relationship and the legal text of that. But I think what we see in this deal today is a deal that delivers for people, delivers on the vote, delivers in a way that protects jobs and livelihoods and protects our security and our United Kingdom. And as I've said before, I believe our best days lie ahead of us. I have to ask you, George, for a question.
Thank you for persevering, Prime Minister. George Parker from the FT. Well, I thought I'd sit in the front row so you could see me. You said today this is the best deal for Britain. We've heard from other European leaders that this is the only deal that's on the table. There's no alternative to it. If you can't get this deal through the House of Commons, and you've said before this is not about you, would you feel duty-bound to resign?
Well, You're right that I've said before it's not about me, and I will say it again, it's not about me. Look, my focus over the next few weeks is on, as I've just said, on making the case for this deal. As you've heard, I mean, President Juncker said this was the only deal possible. This has been echoed by other European leaders. And I think that is, when people come to vote in the House of Commons, they will need to ask themselves about two aspects of this particularly. The first is delivering Brexit. I think we have a duty as a House of Commons, as a Parliament, to deliver Brexit. And the second question is about what it means for our constituents. And as I've said, the deal that we have delivered, I believe, delivers not just on what people wanted when they voted for Brexit, but also does it in a way that protects jobs, protects our security and protects the United Kingdom. Faisal.
Faisal Islam, Sky News. Prime Minister, do you think it's helpful that Jean-Claude Juncker tells MPs that it's this deal or no deal? And I must just reiterate that question again. If it gets voted down in the Commons, will you stand down?
I am focusing on ensuring that I make the case for this deal to members of Parliament. And I think the point that Jean-Claude Juncker was making, and that's been reiterated by others, was that if people think somehow there's another negotiation to be done, that's not the case. This is the deal. It's the result of what has been tough and difficult negotiations over a significant period of time. And as has been said, this is the deal that is on the table. This is the best possible deal. It's the only possible deal. James.
Prime Minister, you are appealing today to the British people over the heads of Westminster. But only MPs have a vote. Why don't you take your strategy to its logical conclusion, give the people a vote on your deal, and if they do back you, you're home and dry?
You probably won't be surprised at the answer I'm going to give to that question, James. Look, Parliament decided that the choice as to whether we should leave the European Union or remain in it was for the British people. We overwhelmingly voted in Parliament to give the British people that vote. They made their choice. They have delivered their vote. And I believe it is a matter of trust in politicians that we now deliver on the result of that vote. Tom.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Tom Newton-Dunn from The Sun. Can you rule out now attaching any conditions to the deal at the meaningful vote, especially attaching a second referendum to your offer to Parliament, because that's what some Tory MPs are asking for this morning? And secondly, can you also rule out forming a government of national unity if the deal fails?
Well, first of all, on the second referendum, I'm clear, as I've just said in answer to James, that I believe there should not be that second referendum. We gave the choice to the British people. They voted to leave the European Union. I think we should now deliver on that. And as I've said before in the House of Commons, I think if you ask members of the public whether they want what they would expect Parliament to vote on when they're voting on the deal, they would expect Parliament to vote on the deal as it is presented. And again, I'm focusing on making the case, on taking the arguments in favour of this deal to Parliament, but also in making the case to the British people. And I think from most people in the United Kingdom, they want a deal done and they want us to get on with focusing more clearly on the issues that matter to them day to day. Jason.
Jason Groves from the Daily Mail. Jeremy Hunt's been on the TV this morning saying it's not possible to rule out the collapse of the government if the meaningful vote is lost. He's right, isn't he?
My focus is on making sure that when members of Parliament come to look at this deal, they recognise the importance of delivering Brexit. I think this is crucial. What the British people want is for us to deliver on the vote, but to do it in a way that ensures that we leave the European Union in a smooth and orderly way and that protects their jobs. That's what this deal delivers. Not backing this deal will take us back to more division, to more uncertainty. I believe, actually, it's the time for our country, for the United Kingdom, to move on. We've got the best deal available. It's the only possible deal, as has been reiterated today. Yes.
Heather Stewart from The Guardian. You've talked about moving beyond Brexit to your domestic priorities and other issues the voters are keen to focus on. Barely a day goes by at the moment without stories about cabinet ministers or MPs making sort of strongly worded comments about this deal. You've had several of your own MPs calling for a vote of no confidence. wouldn't it be understandable if the public concluded that your party is just too divided to govern, even if this deal gets through?
No, what we are doing as a party in government is not only doing what the British people asked us to do, negotiating a Brexit deal. As I've said, I believe this is the best possible deal available. I believe it is a good deal for the United Kingdom because it delivers on the vote and does it in a way that protects jobs and security and protects the integrity of the United Kingdom. But, of course, alongside that, we have actually been doing quite a lot in relation to other issues that do matter to people. I referenced in my statement just now our significant commitment to the National Health Service, a long-term plan for the National Health Service, a multi-year funding settlement for the National Health Service, that £394 million extra a week going into the National Health Service. Those are exactly the sort of priorities that the British people want to see us focusing on. Gary?
Gary Gibbon, Channel 4 News. You're obviously very clear you want to win that vote, but can you categorically rule out that you won't be back here in Brussels in just under 3 weeks asking for some concessions? There must be, if you want to avoid division and uncertainty, the other side of a defeat, there must be a plan B. You're not telling us that there is just a void, a black hole, nothing on the other side of defeat, are you?
Well, I think you've heard today what has been said by the Commission and by other European leaders, that this deal is the result of significant, tough, difficult negotiations over a period of time. It is Jean-Claude Juncker's phrases were the best possible deal and the only deal possible. I want to deliver Brexit for the British people. This is a good deal that delivers Brexit for the British people, and I hope every member of Parliament will see that and see the importance of that. Are there any non-British journalists who want to ask questions? Lady in red. And then I'll come.
Stefanie Bolzen, I'm the correspondent for German Welt. The German Chancellor next door just said in her press conference, she was speaking of her genuine sadness that Britain is leaving. Do you share this sadness?
Well, no, but I recognise that others do. I think that's I recognise some European leaders are sad at this moment, but also some people back at home in the UK will be sad at this moment. But the way I look at it is actually this is for us now to move on to the next stage, to move on. As I said, I am full of optimism about the future of our country, and I believe that we can, with this good deal with the European Union, we will remain friends and neighbours. I've said many times, we're leaving the EU, but we're not leaving Europe. We will continue to have that good, close partnership and relationship with countries within Europe, within the European Union, and more widely. Ah, well.
Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez has said that Spain has now a position of strength in the Gibraltar issue. What do you have to say to that?
Well, I think if you heard what I said in my statement, I'm very clear that when the United Kingdom negotiates, we negotiate for the whole UK family, and that includes Gibraltar. And I am proud that Gibraltar is British. We have ensured that Gibraltar is covered with the withdrawal agreement and the implementation period. And as I say, in future negotiations, I'll be negotiating for the whole UK family, and that includes Gibraltar. Come over here.
Nigel Morris from the newspaper. You've spoken about making the case to MPs next month at Westminster. Can I ask you a more specific question? Do you plan meetings with opposition MPs, or do your ministers plan meetings with opposition MPs specifically to try and persuade some of Labour, Lib Dem, SNP MPs over to back the deal?
I think what is going to be important for parliamentarians across the whole House is that they have the information available on which to be able to make the judgment that when they come to the vote. And we will be, as a government, we will be publishing, obviously, analysis that we've undertaken to publish previously to give that information to members of Parliament. As I've said before and said again today here, I believe when it comes to it, MPs will be thinking about the need to deliver on the vote for the British people. And will be thinking about the impact of this deal on their constituents. And I think their constituents want to ensure that their jobs and livelihoods are protected, and that's what this deal does. I'll take a couple more. I'll take Mesa.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Mesa Hall from the Daily Express. Some of your MPs and ministers want a plan B that involves the Norway option of staying in the single market. Given that you've said that that would be a betrayal of the referendum vote, is that something that you would rule out under your premiership?
I'm clear that we have negotiated the best possible deal available. And crucially, it is a deal that delivers on the vote. And I think this is so important to me. The people voted for Brexit, and I believe it's right for, it's in a sense a duty for their politicians who ask them to make that choice to then deliver on that choice. This is a deal that delivers that, because what people want to see is an end to free movement. They want to see an end to the jurisdiction of the European Court of Justice. They want to see an end to those vast annual sums of money being given to Europe to the EU every year, and that's what this deal delivers for them. I'll take Gordon.
Thank you. Gordon Rayner from the Daily Telegraph. Prime Minister, you've said today a lot of the things that you've said are very well-rehearsed arguments for taking back control of borders, law, money. These are arguments that have been going on for months now. Has anything changed today? And what is the one thing that you will be saying to those 90-odd Tory MPs who have said they're going to vote against this deal? What's the one thing you're going to say to them to try and convince them that they should back your deal after today?
Well, I have spoken before about taking back control of our money, laws and borders, and that's because that's what I believe underlay people's vote to leave the European Union. And it's important that we deliver that on people, for people. And when you ask me what I will be saying to MPs, what I'll be saying to MPs across the whole House is we have that duty to deliver on Brexit. This is a deal which delivers on Brexit, but it does it in a way which ensures that we're protecting the United Kingdom, we're protecting the jobs and livelihoods of constituents up and down the country, and we protect our security. This is a deal that is good for the whole of the UK. Thank you.